Hey friends, happy Wednesday. It is your friend in flowers, Lisa Mason Ziegler. Super happy to be here today because it has been a very busy day here, y'all. And I'm just happy to stop and have a talk. So if you've never been here before, this is a time of about 30 minutes from now until 1 o'clock that I will answer as many questions as I can. And you can post your questions that you'd like to ask me, anything about cut flowers, seed starting, flower farming business, farm dogs, whatever you got, we'll do. Hydrating, cool flowers, whatever. Post it in the little bubble with the question mark in it. That way I won't miss your question. Hello, Australia. And that way I won't miss your question. So, and I totally love seeing those sunflowers fly by. Do y'all know what the sunflowers are? Sunflowers are folks that are what we call the TGW family. They're a member of our family because they're one of our online students. And we love it when people share that they are part of our students. And so anyway, I have a lot to say, but we have been shooting since 6 a.m. this morning. I don't know if y'all know that I have a club membership, and I do a master class once a month for them. And so Suzanne and I have been working at this month. Well, actually, yes. The one drop in mid-May is about harvesting strategies. And so anyway, we've been filming since 6 a.m. this morning, and just now tying it all together, and super duper fun. But I also wanted to show you guys, why don't every seed germinate like amaranth? I just had to share these. I have 10 trays of these in there, y'all. This is Amaranth Autumn's Touch. Look at those beautiful babies. So these were just born April 24th. So what's that, like 6 days old or something? And with this, I want to invite you to the live show on Friday, because on Friday, inside the live show in my app, I'm going to be talking about direct seeding versus transplants, kind of the both sides of the fence, and you can figure out amaranth is one of those. That is, a strong germinator, and so that makes it a good candidate for that potentially. But we don't do it. We start them inside, and that's what I'll be talking about on Friday inside the Gardener's Workshop app, which is free. You just download it from your app store, and then join us at 12 noon on Friday, or catch the replays. And so, friends, let's see. Oh, we got 10 questions, so I guess I better get happening here. So Tucker is laying at my feet. Do y'all like my background? It's not very organized. Those are just dried flowers. Those are our leftovers, fresh flowers from last year that we dried. And just, we're revamping this whole space, and my backgrounds are just getting better and better, y'all. All right, so let's see what questions you guys have here. Can you share how you pinch annual phlox to get longer stems? How many times do you pinch them, and how deep do you pinch them each time? I have never grown annual phlox. That might be surprising, right? So I cannot give you any advice on that, unfortunately. And I will say, when you say pinch, if with other annuals calendula, that would be a great one right now. They're kind of short, and Chinese forget-me-nots were short. Now they're really tall. Harvesting the stems at the proper harvest stage, if you have a use form, or just harvesting it and trashing it to make way for new stems to come, is the way you do it. And you cut them like you're cutting one of the stems. And I have no idea where you make the cut on a phlox. But yeah, just harvest them and get regrowth going if they actually do that. All right. Hello, Lisa. Landscape fabric is not in the budget this year. Well, I find that really happy because I don't use or advocate landscape fabric. Will buckwheat inner plant in my flower rows work as well? I've been hoeing the rows using your hoe from your site during the fall and winter. I don't know if weekly hoeing going into spring and summer will be enough. So that could be a really long conversation, but buckwheat is not going to do the job. First off, if you plant buckwheat's a cover crop for anybody that's not familiar. And so what she's wondering, since she has no kind of mulch down, landscape fabric, which we don't use here, but some people do, it's just in the South, it is tough going. And it's expensive, and it clogs after a couple of years and just doesn't work like you would hope that it would. We use biodegradable film, or we use organic mulches, whether that's wood chips from trees that got cut down, pine straw, shredded leaves, leaf mold, or compost. So you're asking, buckwheat grows from seed to bloom in 30 days. So in 30 days, you're going to either have to go through there and hand weed all that buckwheat out, or it's going to set seed and reseed and become a weed in your garden. So no, buckwheat in my experience would not work that well. If you're not going to mulch, if you hoe once a week for several weeks in a row, once the heat starts, because there's different weed seeds at different seasons, right? All the weed seeds are in your soil, but when the cool conditions for cool season hardy annual weeds, when they get their conditions met, they sprout and grow like chickweed and henbit. But once the heat starts, then you have a whole nother set of weed seeds that are right down in that soil, just waiting for their opportunity. So, to say that, if you hoe, not going much more than that deep with our garden hoe is what she's talking about, or the razor hoe, both of them are like the best cultivators ever. You don't bend over. They're super easy to use. I'm not a stirrup hoe person because it takes too much arm action, which is a problem for me. If you hoe once a week for 3 or 4 times once the heat gets started, and then your canopy of your plants grow up, you shouldn't need anything to cover the soil. Although mulching with some organic mulch will help it retain moisture. Hope that helps. Can you talk about how to harvest straw flowers? Unsure if you cut deep towards the base of the plant. So I want to also remind everybody here that my new book, the Cut Flower Handbook, totally has all that information in it. It has 66 featured flowers. And with each flower, it tells you harvesting stage and where to make the cut. And so straw flowers are branchers. And we cut deep. I mean, our straw flowers, which we plant in very early spring, and then succession plant. They are already almost hip high, and they were planted mid-February. So ours get really tall. They'll be like chest tall by the time they're ready to be cut. And we still cut all the way at the ground, almost. I just leave a stump because that's where the new shoots come from. And you cut at the first sign of them developing in the center. You don't want them to be wide open. When they go wide open, they don't dry very well. They turn brown. Do you store your warm season seeds in the freezer? We do not. You could, but we don't. You know, everything has changed here on our farm. And y'all, that's what I was going to tell you. Did y'all know I'm doing an in-person workshop? It's May 18th here in Newport News. Seats are still available. It is a small group of people. We teach at the end of the street, up at the chapel. Then we walk down to the farm, do hands-on, cut some flowers, do some soil blocks, tour the gardens, the grow room, the equipment building. And then we get in our cars and drive to our warehouse for a tour and a wrap-up Q&A. It is going to be the time of, I'm so excited about this. And so if you just comment farm here, you'll get the DM. We have people, I'm welcoming people already from Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, and of course across Virginia. I would love for y'all to come. It's going to be a really, really fun day. And rain or shine, we can make it work. We have enough covered space to be able to do that now. So this is only one. I only do one a year, and this is it, May 18th. So, Connie, the way things have changed here on our farm, meaning that we don't really store really bulk seed here anymore like I was when I was full farming. Literally, the seeds that I use are the seeds that people are ordering from us. They come off the shelf right next to where your seeds are coming off the shelf on our store. But if I was going to have bulk seeds here again, we literally keep our warm season seeds in the refrigerator with desiccant packs, and our cool season seeds in the freezer with desiccant packs, following all that recommended stuff. But yeah, that helps. Thanks for doing this, Lisa. I'm in Zone 7B, East Tennessee, and I purchased poor soil for my raised beds, and my cool season flowers are tiny. Is it too late to fix the soil? It's never too late. And how would I fix it? It seems to be clay with wood chips mixed in. You know, there is nothing more disappointing for that. So I'm sorry that you're having to go through that. I have been there years ago. I mean, I learned we invest every penny we have for all these 27 years of growing flowers in compost and high quality. We don't typically buy soil, but when I filled my raised beds, I bought slings of organic potting soil because of what you're just talking about. There is no good quality topsoil available anywhere. I'm telling you. They just fill it with a bunch of crap. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Bunch of junk, to puff it up. And so I would say to you, you can fertilize, which will help to get you through this, and water. Probably doesn't hold it. There's a lot of water in, there's a lot of wood in there. They might be nitrogen depleted. And so I would use liquid fertilizer. You can use it every week. You can pour it on. I would water the bed and then pour the organic fertilizer mixed according to whatever the directions. Our seaweed fish, you could do that every week. And that also is beefing your soil. That kind of stuff really feeds your soil also. Then after the plants are done, I would purchase, you can buy potting soil in bales. I actually bought pallets of big slings. But if you find organic soil available in bales like peat moss, it's a lot more soil for your buck. And I would get compost and I would mix it into what you've got. Take enough out that you can mix at least 50% of good stuff in with what you have. You can make bad soil better. You just have to mix stuff in it, and you can't just do it all at once. And then I would also mix in organic dry fertilizer. And I see so many sunflowers coming across here. We have a lot of our students, our family on here, and I just love it when that happens. Hi there. Portland, Oregon, Sorcha, or 8B, which is the same as, I'm actually 8A. I have a 50-50 shade and sun garden. I've figured out veggies, but flowers elude me. What are 5 perennial flowers that will thrive in my garden? I've got roses already. Well, I don't grow a lot of perennials, but I do have a nice shade garden, which does have primarily perennials in it. I don't grow perennials as a flower farmer, typically, other than peonies, and I used to grow tuberoses and dahlias, which we perennialize here where I am. Anyway, so what's in my shade garden, they can take morning sun, but not afternoon sun, is hellebores, hellebores, hellebores. Huge benefit. Deer don't eat them. They're great ground cover under big trees. I also have Japanese anemones growing out there. Those are not anemones. They're Japanese anemones, and there's several different ones. And I have some sedums that do really well in the sunshade kind of thing. I'm just trying to think. Of course, bluebells and bleeding hearts. But those are pretty much my... perennials are a lot of work, y'all. People don't think they are, but they have to be kept weeded. They have to be split every now and then to keep them healthy. So I just don't have a whole lot of experience with them, but that's what's in my little shade, sunny in the morning for a couple hours, then it's shaded. So hopefully that'll give you a whirl. Heaven Sent Flower Farm. Love your new cool flower course. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to hear this. You're the first person I've talked to. It's like Christmas every time you drop something new. Will you be offering a similar offering for warm season flowers? Well, funny, you should ask that. I can't say. So I'm so glad to hear that. And for you guys that aren't aware, Lane, who is my co-host on Seed Talk, and I put together a course called Cool Flowers Seed to Harvest. It's like 5 hours long, y'all. It's broke up into, I think it's 36 flowers. It's mostly out in the field videos, and it is literally from starting the seed through the growing up to harvesting it, where you cut it, what stage you cut it. It is like a best resource And it's the perfect companion to go with my book. You know, you can read a book. There's times when you want a book. There's times when you want a video. And of course, when you purchase our courses, you always have it in your pocket in your phone because we have an app for it. So thank you so much, and keep your eyes peeled. All right. Having issues with my Sweet William Amazon series, late fall LFD of May 15th. Oh, last frost date. Sorry, I'm a little slow. Last frost date, May 15th. Planted out a month ago. Any tips because they aren't growing at all but still green? Just need to give them time. So a lot of things can keep stuff from growing. Whether they were, because Amazon is a great variety. I mean, Bobo's planting some today, literally. We have 2 or 3 or 4 successions planted out in the field. But a lot of times there's not enough heat yet for the stuff to elongate. That's just happening here. The stuff I've been suffering with calendula, Chinese forget-me-nots, and I was looking at my larkspur and thinking, oh my gosh, am I going to have 12-inch larkspur? But it's like past my hips now. So it's popping up there. So just be sure you're watering, that they're getting adequate moisture. And again, you can feed them. That liquid fertilizer I was talking about earlier, most everybody, would appreciate a drink of that. Pour it on the soil around them if you're questioning that. But heat, water, and, see how that helps you. Because Amazon's great. And they don't really grow up until they really start. We are cutting Sweet William, not Amazon yet. How best to succession sow on a 1/4 acre to flip beds? That's a conversation that could go on for 4 days. My books really talk about succession planting. A 1/4 acre is pretty big. And my newest book, the Cut Flower Handbook, really helps people figure out when are you supposed to plant warm season stuff and when are you supposed to plant cool season stuff for your garden, and then how to mesh that all together to make a succession plan. Friends, I'm telling you, an efficient succession garden on a 1/4 acre will outproduce an acre of willy-nilly planted stuff. And so that was one of my biggest goals with this book, is to help people understand there's a difference. Cool season and warm season annuals. They both live a year, but guess what? They get planted at very different times. They are the most blooming, prolific flowers you can grow. And if you learn when you should plant each of those, you can have flowers from as early spring to late fall and all the time in between. And so that would be my recommendation to you. Get the book, the Cut Flower Handbook. And I'll be happy to sign one for you. It's available on my website, signed, and it comes with a bonus resource, or you can buy it at booksellers everywhere. It's back in stock. It was such a thrill, y'all, that the publisher sold out of books within 2 days of it being published, which I can't even remember what day that was. It was early March, I think. How do you keep your seedlings safe from squirrels and rabbits without raised beds? So I guess you're asking like out in the garden. We really encourage predators being snakes, hawks, owls, foxes even, all the things that really prey on those guys. And I have a golden retriever, of course, that chases them too. But the squirrels are the most annoying of all of them because they're just everywhere, And our raptor population is back after the destruction that happened next to us 3 years ago. And our squirrel numbers are dwindling. Rabbits, on the other hand, I knew from being a master gardener 25 years ago that that having 25% clover, like white Dutch clover, in your lawn really feeds your lawn, but it also feeds the rabbits. So our rabbits tend to spend most of their time out in our lawn eating that clover, which is perfectly fine for me, right? So predators are my answer. We don't really do much of anything for anything around here. We just give everybody a hand and hope for the best. Any recommendations to source yarrow and feverfew? Not sure if you're looking for flowers or seed. I would just say I would enter that into a search engine for whatever it is that you're looking for: seeds, plants, stems. Where do you pinch your cosmos? In the blocks or in the field? Half the bed or all of them? So typically for cosmos, if we pinch them, they're pinched in the field. And my rule is always pretty much 50%. Not everybody responds to pinching as beautifully as some others do. Like, for instance, this amaranth that I showed you earlier, I have definitely learned that amaranth, I have learned pinches better out in the field than in the tray. So I would pinch 50%, and that way you get earlier blooms and branching. Right. We just planted our cosmos yesterday. Bobo's been planting steady. All right. Something is eating my sunflowers. Any recommendations? Well, we can't recommend anything without knowing what's eating your stuff. And that is the most important step, whether it's a disease or something's eating something. You got to figure out what it is before you can do a solution, right? And I don't know if you're talking about transplants or blooms or what you have, but that is the most important thing, to do a really close examination. If it's eating your leaves, turn the leaves over and looking, or is it possible slugs eat so much more than we think they will. And so that's what you just need to do, some super sleuthing. I would maybe put in a search engine, what eats sunflowers, and maybe somewhere somebody has listed some potentials that you could actually look around and see if you have. But it just really depends on, are they plants? Are they mature? Are they flowers? What is it that you're talking about? Because it's all different. Did you say you were planting more Sweet William right now? How does that stem length go? So if you read my new book, you would know this. Deanna. So we only do that with one variety of Sweet William, and that's the Amazon series. Amazon was actually hybridized to withstand more heat than the other Sweet Williams. Like Sweet is blooming for us right now. Amazon is tall, but it's not budded up yet. So Amazon does do well. Some years it does better than others. But when we were selling 23 Florist, I could sell every stem of Sweet William that I ever had. I mean, have you seen the Sweet William that comes out of boxes that they have to buy? It's junk. And so that was one of the crops I tried to always push to have it as long as possible. And so Amazon, we succession planted. And we won't start anymore. Bobo has some she's planting today. And that's probably the last time. Because the other thing is, I just don't want to have to try that hard. So that Sweet William's going to need a little bit more attention to be sure it gets proper moisture. And we just don't pay that kind of attention to our plants. And it's just not that. We'll sell coxcomb to those people. So we do push it a little, but we don't go deep into summer. Can Siberian iris be used as a cut flower? How long might they last in a vase? I can only answer this because that was one of the first flowers I ever grew like 100 years ago. Siberian iris are not good cut flowers because the flowers fade really, really quickly, and then you have to pinch them off, and there's another bud there, but that's just typically not a great cut flower. So I would say no. It'd be different on your kitchen table, but you would never sell that. 9A, that would be zone 9A, started pro cuts beginning of March, and it's more like 65 days to maturity. Did you notice a little bit longer with yours? So ours, we're going to have sunflowers for Mother's Day. They aren't the biggest and they aren't the tallest, but we know that. So early in the season, when the days are short and the temperatures are cool, for sure it can take longer, unless you keep them covered to heat them up and really give them a lot of extra moisture. Really sunflowers they're like teenage boys, is what I like to think of. They're like bottomless pits. They will do okay on just a peanut butter sandwich, you know, just whatever you've got in your soil, and give them a little water now and then. But when you feed them, they grow like crazy. So, you know, just you might want to pay special attention to that in the future, but that's natural. And that happens again in the fall. You know, we start sunflowers right up through September, and those last ones that we're harvesting, because the days are getting shorter again, think less sunlight, less growing time. So they just get smaller. So, yeah, and that's pretty much normal. And we've just learned that we absolutely love sunflowers, small, big, and in between. So, I forget what we were talking about for you for fertilizer. I don't know what More Bloom is. More Bloom, I would think, is like a blooming type of fertilizer, which we just use one standard, Neptune's Harvest Seaweed Fish, which is, got nitrogen, and I would think More Bloom probably doesn't have a lot of nitrogen. And if you're trying to get flowers to grow, you need something with nitrogen. So Seaweed Fish works really, really well for that, for us. All right, friends, so I'm going to wrap it up here. So I have a special if you're one of my club members, we're doing a new thing today called the Sewing Circle. How sweet is that, y'all? Jessie thought of that name, and today I'm doing ageratum cuttings, or rooting. We're doing it. We're going to see how it works. And is it thrifty to do that, or does it take too much longer? Should I just start seeds? So anyway, if you are interested in my club, you can just comment club here, and that'll DM the link to you. We have so much stuff going on, y'all. You can come here for a day on the farm with me. We start off up the road at the chapel at the end of my street, where we have audio-visual stuff, where we're going to do indoor courses. Bobo's going to be here. You get to meet Bobo and hear all of her secrets, too. Maybe y'all can find out how she can stay down on her knees so much. She's laughing. She's coming in, getting ready to leave. And the day on the farm, the book, our new online course, Cool Flowers, and friends. And we have a fully stocked online store. So we just really love helping people to grow, cut flowers. But the most pressing thing I want to say to you is, if you want to come to my farm and spend a day and see the behind the scenes and do some hands-on stuff, we're going to do soil blocking, we're going to cut some flowers. May 18th here in Newport News. It's a small group, 35 people is the max, and we still have seats available. And we live in a great place where if you bring your family, we live between Williamsburg, Colonial Williamsburg, Busch Gardens, and Virginia Beach. So there is lots for your family to do. We have people coming from all over the eastern seaboard, and I get goosebumps talking about it, y'all. This is the funnest thing I do, is to meet y'all in person and just create those memories and moments together. So friends, see you Friday inside our shopping app, which is totally free. You can just download that from your app store. And this week we're talking about direct seeding is possible, but do you really want to do that, or do you want to start transplants, and how we do that? So I hope to see you in there. And I think that's all, friends. So till we meet again, see you club members at 2 o'clock Eastern time inside the club for ageratum. Ciao.